The rain-slicked platform roared with rushing commuters, but Megan Lawson's world had narrowed to a stroller teetering by the edge and bags too heavy to hold. No one slowed. No one looked, until Andrew Bennett, a single dad with his son Eli in tow, stepped forward. "Need a hand?" he asked, already lifting the suitcase. Megan's eyes met his, startled. I don't even know you." Andrew gave a faint smile. "Maybe that's exactly why you can trust me." Before we dive in, drop a comment with where you're watching from, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. Let's begin. The train platform in downtown Chicago pulsed with noise, announcements, screeching brakes, the shuffle of hundreds of tired commuters. Andrew Bennett stood with his son Eli's hand in his construction boots heavy from another long shift. At 36, he looked older than his years, but Eli's presence kept him grounded. A few feet away, Megan Lawson was struggling. She had a stroller wedged awkwardly against the yellow line, Harper squirming inside, while she fought to drag two overstuffed suitcases. Her knuckles were white, her face flushed. Andrew hesitated, then stepped forward. "Need a hand?" he asked, already lifting one of the bags before she could answer. Megan blinked, surprised but relieved. "Thank you. I didn't think I'd even make it onto the train." Eli, shy but observant, leaned close to his dad. "She looks like us," he whispered. Andrew gave him a puzzled glance, but before he could ask, the train screeched to a halt and the crowd surged forward. They boarded together, Andrew shielding Megan and Harper from the press of people. As the train doors closed, Megan muttered, "I'm starting over again. Everything I owned fit into these two bags." Andrew nodded, sympathy etched across his face. "I get it. Been there." The twist came when Eli, usually quiet, piped up suddenly. "My mom left, too. But Dad makes pancakes on Saturdays. That helps." Megan froze, her eyes glistening. She hadn't expected a child's simple truth to echo her own hidden pain so sharply. For the first time in months, she didn't feel invisible. The train rattled forward, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. Megan sat with Harper drowsing in the stroller, while Andrew and Eli squeezed into the narrow seats beside them. Eli offered Harper a small packet of pretzels from his backpack, and she giggled as if it were a feast. Megan watched quietly, her guard lowering for the first time in weeks. "I left my husband," she admitted softly. "He drained my account and left me with nothing. I just couldn't stay." Andrew didn't flinch. "My wife walked out too. Said she wasn't made for this life. I figured it was better Eli grows up with one parent who's present than two who are ghosts." Their eyes met. Not romantic. Not yet. But with a recognition only people carrying the same scars could share. The peace shattered when a man's voice cut through the car. "Megan." Her face went pale. Standing in the aisle was Tom Lawson, sharply dressed, a file folder under his arm and a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Well, isn't this cozy?" He slid his phone from his pocket and pointed it at Harper. "A judge will love to see who you're dragging her around with." Megan's breath caught. Andrew rose, planting himself between Tom and the stroller. "Put the phone away." Tom smirked. "And who are you? Another poor sap she fooled?" For a moment it seemed Tom would push past, but then he leaned close and hissed, "See you in court." At the next stop, he stepped off, his smirk lingering even as the doors closed. Megan's hands trembled. Andrew placed the pretzel bag back into them, steady as stone. "You're not alone anymore," he said. Andrew's stomach tightened as he crouched near the stroller. He peeled the tiny black device from the metal frame and slipped it into his palm. Megan frowned. "What is that?" "A GPS tracker," Andrew said quietly. "He's following you." Her lips parted in shock. He can't. That's illegal." "Doesn't mean he won't try," Andrew replied. He tucked the tracker into his work jacket pocket. "We'll take it to the police when we get off." Megan blinked hard, her eyes wet. "I didn't even know he was capable of this. I just thought he'd want control through the courts." Andrew shook his head. "Some people don't stop at paperwork." The train screeched to its final station. The crowd poured out in every direction, umbrellas flaring open in the drizzle. Andrew hefted Megan's suitcase without asking, while Eli kept a steady hold on Harper's stroller. "Where are you going tonight?" Andrew asked, already guessing the answer. Megan hesitated, biting her lip. "A shelter on the south side. They said they had one bed left." Andrew exhaled. His own apartment wasn't much, one bedroom, peeling linoleum, noisy pipes, but it was safe. Come with us, he said firmly. At least for tonight. A lock on the door is better than a cot in a room full of strangers. Megan's pride flared for a moment, then crumbled as Harper whimpered in the stroller. Just one night, she whispered. Andrew's apartment was modest. One sagging couch, mismatched chairs, toys scattered like breadcrumbs. But when Megan stepped inside, she felt something she hadn't in months. Safety. Shoes by the door, Eli said seriously, pointing to a row of sneakers. Harper copied him, clapping as Megan tucked her wet flats aside. For the first time all day, Megan smiled. Andrew dropped the suitcases by the wall. It's not much, but it's ours. I'll make tea. Megan sank onto the couch, Harper climbing into her lap. The little girl found a crayon and began scribbling circles on a scrap of paper from Eli's school folder. Megan brushed a strand of hair from Harper's forehead, whispering, "She's finally calm." Andrew returned with mugs. "Calm is underrated." He hesitated, then added, "You don't owe me anything for being here." Megan looked up. "That's the first time someone said that to me in years." They sat in silence for a while, the sound of rain against the window softening the edges of the city. Megan finally spoke. "I thought leaving him would give us peace. Instead, it feels like I'm running in circles." Andrew leaned back, exhaustion in his eyes. "Maybe circles still mean you're moving. Sometimes that's enough." Just as Megan exhaled, the peace cracked. The buzzer by the door blared 3 sharp times. Andrew froze, every muscle tense. He moved to the door and peered through the peephole. Andrew opened the door just enough to see the badges. "Complaint?" he asked, keeping his voice steady. The woman, mid-40s, professional but not unkind, nodded. "We received a report of unsafe conditions. 2 children in a residence not properly supervised." Megan's breath caught. "That's not true." Andrew gently touched her arm, signaling her to wait. "Come in," he said, his jaw tight. The 2 workers stepped inside, glancing around. The place was small, yes, but clean, dishes washed, toys neatly pushed to the side, Eli's drawings taped proudly to the fridge. "Who are you?" the man asked, looking at Megan. She straightened her shoulders. "Megan Lawson. My daughter, Harper. We're guests for the night. I left my husband, and we were heading to a shelter until Mr. Bennett offered us safety." The woman scribbled notes. "Your husband, he's the father?" Megan nodded reluctantly. "And the kind of man who'd make a call like this just to punish me." The CPS workers shared a look. Andrew went to the counter, pulled a small plastic bag from under a towel, and set it down. Inside was the tracker. "He put this on her stroller today. That's what we're dealing with." The man's pen stopped. "We'll need the police report on that." "You'll have it tomorrow morning," Andrew promised. After a careful walkthrough, the workers left with polite nods, promising follow-up. When the door clicked shut, Megan sagged against the wall. "He's already using the system against me. What if next time they believe him?" Andrew met her eyes. "Then we fight with proof. That's all we can do." Andrew held the second tracker in his hand, heavier somehow than the first. Megan's voice trembled. "How many more could there be?" "Enough to keep him close," Andrew muttered. He bagged it with the first and sat heavily at the kitchen table. "Tomorrow we don't just file a report. We ask for protection." The next morning, they went to the precinct. The officer logged the devices, expression sharpening at the serial numbers. "Looks like private security gear. Expensive. If you get more contact, keep it. Every text, every call. It builds a case." At legal aid, a young attorney named Kiana typed fast while Megan poured out her story. When she finished, Kiana slid a packet across the desk. "We'll file for an emergency protective order today. Judge will see you within 24 hours. Megan pressed her hand over Harper's curls. "Does that really stop him?" Kiana's eyes were honest. "It puts the law on your side. That's the wall we can build." By the time they got back to Andrew's apartment, the kids were sprawled on the floor, Eli explaining how to build a Lego fort while Harper nodded solemnly. For a fleeting moment, it looked like family. Andrew's phone buzzed again. Unknown number. "Cute fort. Hope your lease survives your charity." He took a screenshot and sent it straight to the officer's email. His thumb hovered over the delete button, but he didn't press it. Instead, he leaned on the counter, watching Megan tuck Harper in. He knew then this wasn't just about helping for one night. He'd already stepped into her fight. The buzzer's harsh echo rattled the small apartment. Megan shot upright, clutching Harper against her chest. Eli stumbled from his room, eyes wide with sleep. Andrew moved quickly, motioning them back. He pressed his phone to the peephole, recording the grainy hall. A shadow leaned on the intercom, chuckling low and deliberate. "Police are on their way," Andrew called through the door, voice calm but firm. The laughter stopped. Heavy footsteps retreated down the stairwell. Sirens wailed in the distance minutes later, but by then the hall was empty. Andrew slid down against the door, exhaling slow. Megan sank beside him, her knees pulled to her chest. "I should go after the hearing," she whispered. "I can't wreck your life." He turned his head toward her. "You didn't bring this storm." He did. Silence stretched, broken only by Harper's soft breathing. Finally, Andrew spoke, his tone quieter. "When Eli was a baby, I gave up our nicer place so my ex could keep it. Thought it would help her stay. It didn't. I spent months sleeping on my brother's couch with a crib next to me. Still, he grew up steady because I showed up. That's all kids really need." Megan studied him, not with pity, but with something closer to understanding. "You never promised what you couldn't keep, did you?" Andrew shook his head. "No, I only promise what I can hold." From the hallway, the neighbor tapped lightly and slipped a note under the door. "Camera caught him. Sending you the footage." The courthouse smelled faintly of old wood and coffee. Megan clutched Harper's small hand, her knuckles pale. Andrew walked beside her, shoulders squared. Eli left with the neighbor for safety. Inside the courtroom, Tom sat smug in a tailored suit, his lawyer flipping through a folder thick with paperwork. He didn't look at Megan. He smirked at Andrew instead, like this was sport. The judge, a tired woman with sharp eyes, called the case. Megan's attorney, Kiana, outlined the threats, the trackers, the late-night harassment. She slid photos across the table, close-ups of the devices, screenshots of the texts, even the grainy footage from the hallway camera. Tom's lawyer objected, claiming exaggeration, claiming Megan was unstable. Tom leaned back, whispering with a smirk, "Courts love stability, sweetheart. What do you have?" Andrew stood when the judge asked for a statement. He clasped his calloused hands together, voice steady. "I'm not family, Your Honor. I'm just the man who found a tracker taped under her daughter's stroller. I'm the man who heard him laughing through an intercom while her child cried. I don't like fights, but I don't walk away from them either." The judge studied him for a long moment. Then her gavel came down. "Temporary protective order is granted. Respondent is to remain no less than 500 feet from Ms. Lawson and her child until the full hearing." Megan sagged with relief, tears streaking silently down her cheeks. Tom's mask cracked just enough to show his anger. Outside the courthouse, the city roared with traffic, but Megan barely noticed. She leaned against the wall, Harper asleep on her shoulder, trembling with the aftershock of relief. Andrew stayed close, scanning the street like a man who'd spent years expecting blows from shadows. "Bennett," a voice called. Andrew turned. A man in a hard hat and worn jacket approached, his face vaguely familiar. "You probably don't remember me," he said, "but I remember you. 3 years back, you stopped a concrete pour on our site. Said the rebar was short by half an inch. Foreman wanted to ignore it. You didn't." Andrew's brow furrowed. "That was on the South Loop job." The man nodded. "You saved us. 2 weeks later, inspectors confirmed it. Could have been a collapse. You caught it." He held out a card. "I run crews now. We need men who won't look away. You still looking for steady work?" Andrew hesitated, then took the card. For the first time in months, hope flickered. Megan saw the exchange, her lips curving in a small, tired smile. Sometimes doing the right thing really does come back around. That evening, they toured a modest sublet near Andrew's place. 1 room, a south-facing window, a deadbolt that clicked firm. Megan stood in the empty space, Harper toddling across the bare floor. "It doesn't echo like a goodbye," she whispered. "It feels like a beginning." Andrew helped screw in the peephole himself, Eli proudly taping a hand-drawn, welcome sign on the door. Andrew's chest tightened as he stared at the photo on his phone. Megan's new door, the welcome sign Eli had taped clearly in frame. He didn't show her right away, not while Harper twirled happily in the empty room and Megan exhaled like she could finally breathe. When Harper was tucked in and Megan sat at the table with a cup of tea, Andrew slid the phone across. "He was here tonight." Her face drained of color. "Already?" Andrew nodded. "But we're ready this time." He showed her the folder on the counter, the protective order, the police case number, the footage from his neighbor's camera. Paper walls aren't perfect, but they stand taller when you stack them. Hours later, near midnight, a scrape sounded at the door. Megan froze. Andrew grabbed his phone and pressed record. Tom's shadow loomed against the peephole. He jiggled the handle, muttering her name like a threat. Andrew's voice was steady. Police are already called. You're violating an order. Red and blue lights washed the hallway within minutes. Officers marched Tom away, shouting about lawyers and lies. This time, the smirk was gone. Back inside, Megan sank onto the floor, Harper stirring against her chest. She looked at Andrew through tears. No one's ever stood between us and him. Not like this. Andrew sat beside her, back against the same door he'd defended before. You don't have to run anymore. We'll build steady ground. One lock, one routine, one day at a time. Morning broke through the window, golden and soft. Eli showed Harper his astronaut book while Megan leaned against the wall, watching them with a quiet smile. Not happily ever after, but honestly ever after, the kind built on steady kindness. And in the noisy heart of the city, that was enough to start again. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more stories that stay with you.